Together we'll weave a heart someday. Infinite threads, let's take the ride. Unconditional love as our guide. Open your heart, the journey starts. Infinite threads where love's the art.
Welcome back to Infinite Threads, Conversations on Love, Connection, and Compassion. I'm your host, Bob Barnett, and I'm so glad you're here for the second episode of our journey into the power of love. If you're new to the podcast, be sure to check out episode 1, where we explored the transformative practice of loving unconditionally. But today, we're going to dive into something that's just as crucial: forgiveness. Forgiveness is a cornerstone of love, and yet it's one of the hardest things to practice. We all carry wounds, whether they're from people we love, from our own mistakes, or from the world itself. But the incredible thing about forgiveness is that it doesn't just heal the person we forgive. It heals us too. And this is very true, guys. Very, very true. Let's begin by acknowledging something. Forgiveness is not about excusing the wrongdoer or pretending that hurt didn't happen. It's not about saying what happened was okay. Instead, forgiveness is about letting go of the weight of resentment and anger that can consume us if we hold on to it too long. When we refuse to forgive, we allow those wounds to remain open, festering, and keeping us stuck. But when we choose to forgive, we free ourselves. We're not doing it for the other person. We're doing it for our own peace and healing. And you know, guys, I've said it over and over again. People ask, they say, but how do you do it? How do you make a choice and you do it? It's really that simple. When you make a choice, carry through. Forgiveness starts with a shift in perspective. Think about someone who has wronged you in the past. Maybe it's a friend, a family member, or even yourself. Yeah, yourself. Now I want you to try something with me. Imagine that person as a fellow human being, just like you. Yeah, really, just like you. Someone who, too, has had their own struggles, their own pain, their own history. You know, the things, the pains you felt, other people have felt them too. That's good to remember that sometimes. Maybe they acted out of fear, insecurity, or pain. Maybe they didn't even know how their actions were affecting you. Does that make it easier to understand at all? I mean, do you see it when you look at it from that way? It doesn't excuse the hurt, but it can shift your approach to it. Forgiveness is about choosing to see people through the lens of compassion rather than judgment. It's also important to recognize that forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean reconciliation. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to invite them back into your life or continue the relationship. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is forgive someone and then set boundaries to protect ourselves. Forgiveness is about your inner peace, not about the other person's reaction. They may never acknowledge your forgiveness, or they may never change, but that's not for you to control. Exactly. Control what you can control and what you can't. We have to learn to let go of what we can't control. What matters is your ability to let go of that burden and choose love instead of anger. Now, let's talk about self-forgiveness. We're often our harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards. We dwell on past mistakes, carrying guilt and regret as if they define us. But here's the truth. You are not your mistakes. You are a work in progress just like everyone else. Forgiving yourself is an essential part of healing. It's about acknowledging that you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. It's about letting go of shame and choosing to embrace growth, learning from the past and moving forward. So, how do we begin the practice of forgiveness in our own lives? It starts with one step at a time. First, you have to acknowledge the hurt. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. Then take a moment to sit with your feelings of anger, sadness, or betrayal without judgment. It's okay to feel those emotions. It's human. After that, ask yourself, what do I need to let go of in order to move forward? You don't have to have all the answers right away, but asking yourself this question is the first step toward emotional freedom. In the spirit of unconditional love, let's consider this. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. When you forgive, you're choosing to no longer let someone else's actions have power over your peace. It's an act of self-love, of healing, of setting yourself free from the chains of the past. It's also a ripple effect. When you forgive, you model the power of love and compassion to others. You teach those around you that it's okay to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, and to rise above them. Whew. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a simple exercise to help you start practicing forgiveness. Think of someone you need to forgive. It could be someone from your past, or it could be yourself. In your mind, tell them, I forgive you. You don't need to speak to them directly, but send that forgiveness out into the world, into the universe. Visualize yourself letting go of the anger, the resentment, and the hurt. Imagine those feelings floating away, leaving you lighter, freer, more at peace. Finally, say to yourself, I choose peace. I choose love. This may be difficult at first, and that's okay. Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. Thank you guys for joining me for this second episode of Infinite Threads, Conversations on Love, Connection, and Compassion. I hope today's discussion on forgiveness has inspired you to take that first step toward healing in your own life. Remember, forgiveness is a practice, not a one-time event. Take your time and be gentle with yourself. Love and connection are waiting for you on the other side. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who may benefit from hearing it. Let's continue this conversation and spread love one act of forgiveness at a time. Until next time, remember, love is infinite and it starts with you.